Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Advice to Think Twice. My name is Monica and I'm here today with another video for the Tarot Basics tutorial playlist, and we're going to be looking at the astrological connections when it comes to the tarot. Okay, so connecting astrology and tarot, what signs we can see in the tarot, what planets we can see portrayed in the tarot, or what planets it is that they're linking to. So we're going to go through the major arcana, and I'm going to take you through them one card at a time and tell you about the ruling planet associated to that particular card, as well as any of the signs associated with that card and their element. And we're going to go through all the cards one at a time, and I'll tell you what I know about them. This is just my experience, what I've learned working with the cards and reading up on them and studying them along the years. I'm sure there's a lot more information out there, but this is just what I know at this time. If I develop my knowledge and I learn more, I could do a follow-up, I could do a part 2. But that's actually the reason why I've been putting this off for so long, because I thought, well, I don't know everything. So how can I make a video and teach other people when I don't know everything? But at the end of the day, I do know something, and I think it is enough to get you started, and then maybe you could do your own research, okay? And see what other information you could find for yourself. So that's the plan. I'm going to be using the Smith-Waite Tarot deck. Well, this is the Rider-Waite, but the Smith-Waite Tarot deck, the Centennial Edition. It's just like the traditional Rider-Waite, except they give Pamela Coleman Smith a more prominent mention, let's say. And since these cards, they don't, they're not very rich with astrology symbols or zodiac symbols, you do see, I'm going to take you through them, you do see the connections in some of the cards, but not all of them. I also wanted to use the Spiral Tarot deck to show you how the signs and the planets make an appearance in tarot cards, okay, so that you know what to look for. And of course, this is just the first deck that I could think of, but there's a lot more decks, and it just depends how the authors wanted to portray the cards and the energy of the cards, okay. Some people focus on one thing rather than another, and so on and so forth. So that being said, we're just going to go through the cards. I'm going to take you through the major arcana cards in the Smith-Waite Tarot deck first, and just tell you about the connections. You could take notes if you wanted to, or just keep replaying the video, and tell you about the connections, the astrology connections. And then I'm going to take you through the Spiral Tarot deck and kind of pinpoint on the card where you see a particular symbol, okay, for a zodiac sign or a planet. And I'm recording it this way because it's very, very bright outside, and so you could barely see my face on camera, let alone the cards. So I decided to record this way. So let's get started, shall we? Now, the first card that we have in the major arcana, we have the Fool. Now, the ruling planet of the Fool here is Uranus, and that is all about originality, spontaneity, independence, doing things differently, okay. It's vision, independence, standing out, okay, walking your own path, and it doesn't actually have a sign associated to it per se, but it is, Uranus is the element of air, okay, so just keep that in mind. I find that not all the major arcanas have signs associated to them, and I'll mention the ones that do and the ones that don't. In private readings or general readings, this is just how I do things. I think major arcana cards are massive energy, they're destiny energy, karma energy, so it's not really, I don't really look to associate, if I see a particular major arcana card in a reading, to say, oh, it's that sign, unless it's something that is associated to it and it's well known, and it would show up in that way. And of course, I look for what other cards are in that reading to see if it represents an energy, as it more usually do, an energy, or a particular person, okay. But the Fool, Uranus, no particular sign associated to it that I use personally, and it represents the element of air. And I'm going to do different videos covering each of the cards. Okay, so this is just the astrological associations. Then we have the Magician. Now the Magician is Mercury. Again, there's no particular sign that I associate to it, that I've seen associated to it. It does represent the element of air once again. A lot of people say, you know, since this is ruled by Mercury or represented by Mercury, you could say that the Magician represents either Gemini or Virgo, which are signs ruled by that planet. You could do, again, it's completely up to the reader. Look at what other cards you have in your reading to see if it's an energy or a person. But it is represented by Mercury, okay, and the element of air. Then we have the High Priestess. Now the High Priestess is represented by the Moon. So far we don't really see representations of planets or signs, okay, in the Fool or the Magician. In the High Priestess we do see the Moon, okay, this is the Moon here and the crescent moon here. So you do get a clue that this is ruled by the Moon, the energy of the Moon, and of course the element is water. Again, because this is ruled by the Moon and the element is water, some people read it as she represents a Cancer or a Pisces, even a Scorpio. Other people say, you know, because she represents purity, she could also show up for a Virgo. Again, it's completely up to the reader. I don't really look at, once again, this is just how I read, I don't really look at major arcana cards as people, unless I don't have any court cards in the reading or anything else to point to a person. Then I might look at the major arcana to see what kind of person they could represent. But other than that, I just look at it as energy. And so with the High Priestess, again, represented by the Moon, if you want to say she represents a water sign, you could do, completely up to the reader. Okay, so that's the High Priestess, and we do see representations of the Moon in the card, so we get an idea that, you know, she represents the energy of the Moon as well. The Empress. Now the Empress is represented by Venus. We do have the symbol of Venus in the card here. And the signs associated to the Empress are Taurus and Libra, because they are ruled by Venus. The element of Venus is earth, okay? So she does represent worldly pleasures. She represents abundance in the material realm, so I could see the element of air being represented here, okay? But again, Venus and signs associated to this are Taurus and Libra. Once again, look at the other cards in the reading to see if it's a person or if it's an energy that the Empress shows up to represent. And I think I've referred to the Empress as Leo once, but that's because I read the cards intuitively, and that's just what came up for me in that particular reading as I was channeling. But the signs are Taurus and Libra, okay, the ones regularly associated to the Empress. The Emperor. Now the Emperor is ruled by Mars and represented by Aries and the element of fire. We do see the ram here, so we do get a clue that he represents Aries. So he would show up, I have seen the Emperor show up more often as a person rather than an energy, but again, it just depends what you're reading, who you're reading for, what the question is, and so on and so forth. But generally, this is Mars, Aries energy, and fire element, okay? The Hierophant. The Hierophant is ruled by Venus, associated to the sign of Taurus, and the element is earth. I don't, as far as I remember, I don't think we have a representation of either Venus or Taurus in this particular portrayal of the card. And again, it can represent a person. More often than not, energy, with it being a major arcana card, It just depends on the reading, what you're asking, what you're reading, what your cards are, okay? But generally, just for the purpose of the astrological associations, this is Taurus, ruled by Venus, the element of Earth. Then we have the Lovers. So with the Lovers is associated with the sign of Gemini, okay, ruled by Mercury. Some people say ruled by Venus as well. I see it as Mercury and Gemini, as far as, you know, I've been working with it anyway. And the element of air. Again, I don't think we have any representation of the sign of Gemini in the card as far as I can remember. Don't see it. But we could, you know, we could see the representation, the association to Venus as well, because this is the Lovers. It represents love and passion and all of that. So I could see where some people might say, yes, it's ruled by Mercury, but also Venus with that energy. But the zodiac sign associated to it is Gemini and the element of air. The Chariot. Now, the Chariot is ruled by the moon, represented by the sign of Cancer, and the element is water. We have representations of the moon here. We have the crescent moon on his shoulders. But I don't, as far as I can remember, see a representation of the sign of Cancer in this particular deck. No, I don't think so. I'm just double checking. I know the cards by heart, but I'm just double checking, okay? In terms of imagery, I mean, I know them by heart in this deck anyway. So yeah, the Chariot, sign of Cancer, element of water, and Cancer is ruled by the moon, so we can associate the Chariot to the moon. The Strength card. The Strength card, you get a big clue. The sign that it's associated to is Leo, and it is ruled by the sun, and the element is fire. So again, you see a lion in the card. It's a very clear indication that yes, this is ruled by, represented by Leo, and then, you know, represented by the sun, with this energy as well, okay? And again, the element is fire. The Hermit. The Hermit is represented by the sign of Virgo and the element of Earth. And some people say that the planet it's associated to, it's actually associated to Chiron. Now with the Hermit, I see it mostly as representing a Virgo, or looking for expert information, knowledge, getting advice, generally associated to a particular planet. Now that I think of it, I just associate it to Virgo, or the energy of the major arcana card, okay, the Hermit. But anyway, it represents Virgo, element of Earth. The Wheel of Fortune, and again, we don't really see anything to indicate, you know, that it represents Virgo. There's nothing in the card. The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards that doesn't really have a sign associated to it. It represents Jupiter, and the element of Jupiter is fire. It doesn't have, now this is a very, very powerful destiny type of energy, karma kind of energy, meant to be kind of energy. I really wouldn't try to associate it to a person or a zodiac sign, because that would be really, really trying to sell it short. This is massive energy that's outside of ourselves, that is bigger than ourselves, so we can't really try to, you know, bring it down to earth and associate it with a person or a sign. I don't think I've seen anyone to do that, but I'm just saying it's one of those energies that it's big, massive energy, bigger than ourselves, doesn't really have a sign associated to it. It represents Jupiter, which is difficult to contain in itself, okay? Representing change and movement and all of that, meant to be energy type thing. So that's the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter, the element of fire. The Justice card. Now the Justice card represents Libra, we do have the scales here representing Libra. And since this is represented by Libra, the ruling planet of Libra is Venus, and the element is air. And again, we have that the scales in the card to give us a clue that it represents Libra. The Hangman. Now, the Hangman is ruled by Neptune. The element is water. With the Hangman, a lot of people, once again, because the element is water, a lot of people associate the Hangman to Pisces. I've heard it associated to Pisces, okay, by other readers. It's completely up to you, your decision, whatever you want to do with it. But I don't really associate it to a particular zodiac sign. I just focus on the energy of the Hangman, and that's what I bring into the reading. If you had other cards, again, it depends on the context, what you're reading for, the question, and the cards around it. It will tell you if it's an energy or if it's a particular person. It might give you a clue as to who that might be. But generally, I don't really associate it to a particular sign. It's Neptune, and the element is water. The Death card. Now, the Death card is ruled by Pluto, represented by Scorpio. The element is water. But in the Death card, yes, we have Pluto, but we also have Mars. Okay, the white flag there represents Mars. So just to let you know, more often than not, it shows up as a Scorpio. If it's to show up as a person, to indicate a person, it would be a Scorpio. But yeah, just bear in mind you have Pluto and Mars in the card that I can see, that I've learned, that I've been working with, okay? I'm sure a lot of readers have their own tweaks, okay, to how they see the Death card. This is just how I read and what I've experienced and learned so far, okay? So once again, Scorpio, water, Pluto, and a little bit of Mars in the Death card here. And I mean, well, we don't really have symbols of Pluto or anything, but the big the big skeleton kind of makes you think of death, doesn't it? But we don't really have, you have to think about it, okay? There's no clear indication. You have to think about what does this represent. There's no clear indication of Pluto or Scorpio or anything else in the card. Then we have the Temperance card. The Temperance card is represented by Sagittarius and ruled by Jupiter. The element is fire. And again, we don't have anything in the card to tell us that it represents Sagittarius or Jupiter or fire. It's just the astrological associations that you just learn as fact, okay, once you start studying the tarot and the astrology, and then connecting them together. But in a tarot reading, yes, you have the energy of the major arcana card, the Temperance, but it can represent a Sagittarius individual as well. We do have the representation of fire on that triangle on the chest there that I can remember. Then we have the Devil. So with the Devil, this is Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. The element is Earth. Again, we don't have anything pointing to Capricorn unless you look at the horned god. Kind of looks like Capricorn, halfway anyway. But other than that, we don't have any indication in the card that's easy to see, very clear to see, okay, this represents Capricorn or Saturn. Then we have the Tower. Once again, the Tower is one of them cards that is just pure energy. Doesn't really indicate a person. The Tower is Mars, and the element is fire. We don't really have anything pointing to Mars except the fire and the strength and the power in the card, but again, there's nothing clear that says, hey, this represents Mars. I'm not saying that there should be anything on the cards. I mean, these cards are pretty well designed, far be it from me to add to them or, you know, give them indications on what they should have and shouldn't have put on the cards. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to pick up on any clues in the cards as to their astrological correspondence, there's not a lot there, okay, in some of the cards, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Then we have the tarot card of the Star. The Star is Aquarius, the water bearer. You can see it kind of looks like Aquarius, the representation of Aquarius. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. The element is air. Then we have the Moon. The Moon is associated with Pisces, ruled by Neptune, and the element is water. But again, some people associate it to the other water signs as well, because some people say this could be a Cancer, representing a Cancer, or even a Scorpio, talking about deep hidden things. But on its own, most people associate the Moon with Pisces, ruled by Neptune. The element is water. Then we have the Sun. Now the Sun is pure energy. It's the Sun. And the element is fire, obviously. And you have this big bold sun on the card. Then we have Judgment. Judgment is Pluto. And the element is fire. Again, there's no particular person that we can associate this with, or a zodiac sign right off the bat, okay? But it's major energy, it is karma. So I wouldn't even try to associate it to a particular zodiac sign in a reading, because that would be really selling it short, okay? It's not, I think anyway, that's my opinion. In my experience, that's not what it's meant to do in a reading, okay? When you see the Judgment card, it's not meant to represent a person. It's meant to bring in big energy and big answers to a reading that we need to be prepared for, as opposed to trying to pinpoint, okay, who's this talking about? But on its own, this is Pluto, element of fire. And then we have the World card. The World card is Saturn, and the element is Earth. And again, there's no particular zodiac sign associated to this. It's very big, beautiful energy, and I haven't really seen it associated to a particular zodiac sign. I don't associate it to zodiac signs. It's beautiful energy of completion, of celebration, of full circle, with this energy of the world here. Karmic lessons being learned, karmic cycles ending, new ones beginning, and so on and so forth. So it's really meant to be karmic, destiny type energy. I wouldn't try to bring it down to earth a little bit to associate it to a particular zodiac sign, and I haven't seen it done actually. Okay, so now we're going to go through the Spiral Tarot deck really quickly to try to pinpoint more, clues that you get. But this is obviously, it's got a much stronger astrology link to it. So the author of the deck wanted to wanted to highlight the astrological association, okay, for each of the cards here. And that's just their choice, and it's a beautiful deck. Very complex, because again, there's a lot that's coming at you, a lot of information that's coming at you. Okay, so we start with the Fool. Now we see the symbol of Uranus here and the element of air here, okay, and that's all I'm going to focus on in the card for this video. With the Magician, we have the symbol of air here, right there. Not, any indication to a particular sign, except, this guy kind of looks like Mercury. But again, no representation of a particular sign, as we will see in other cards. Then we have the High Priestess. We do have the moon, and we do have the symbol of water here. With the Empress, we do have the symbol of Venus, and there we go there. The Earth symbol. The Emperor, let me find it. We have Aries there at the bottom, and the symbol of fire. There's got to be the fire there. There we go. And the ram on his chest right there. So a lot of indications that this represents Aries. With the Hierophant. With the Hierophant here, we have a bunch of symbols. It's probably the author's interpretation or what they were trying to highlight that they think this represents. But we have the symbol for Chiron. And with the symbol for Chiron, we do have the symbol of Virgo here as well. So for them, they associated the Hierophant to Virgo and Chiron. We also have the symbol of Sagittarius for some reason. Not really sure, and honestly, I haven't studied the deck in such depth that I know why they did this. But it's I mean, just to show you how they bring forward, how they highlight the symbols in the card to, you know, what they associated the card with. I'm actually going to look that up because I'm curious now. We have the Lovers, and with the Lovers we do have the sign of Gemini and the element of air. We have the Chariot, and with the Chariot we have the sign of Cancer. There we go, and the element of water. We have the Strength card, and very clear indication, sign of Leo and fire, and the Lion again. We have the Hermit with the sign of Virgo and Earth. I'm just checking, there's no Chiron in this representation. I'm sure there's a lot of different representations, maybe old views on the astrology links, or maybe newer ones. So I think there's a lot of different versions out there. You just have to see which one works for you and which one you see, you know, that the cards are trying to tell you about. So it's a personal journey as well. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune, and in the Wheel of Fortune we have all the symbols around it. So no particular symbol that they stop on, okay, to say it represents a symbol. It's like all of them. It's like part of the zodiac wheel down here. Wheel, Jupiter up top here. See, this is the other. It's like they're in the zodiac wheel. So rules all in Jupiter. Then we have the Justice card. And with the Justice card we have air and the scales. And Libra. I know they should have put Libra in there. I was looking for it. So if this thing focuses, oh, come on. It's on the chair here. I don't know why it won't focus anymore. There we go. It's really, really, you can see it if you want to see it, like the symbol of Libra. Then we have the Hangman. And with the Hangman, we have Neptune, we have water, and again no particular sign after that, just Neptune and water. With the Death card we have water and found Pluto, Scorpio. There we go, it's right on there, and water. We still have the white flag though. Again, that's just like extra, you know, trying to add Mars to the mix. That's just extra. Typically it's Pluto and Scorpio and water. In the Temperance card, here we have Sagittarius. Here we have fire. We also have Mercury on there, but again, I think that's just the author's input. With the Devil card, we have Capricorn. If it focuses, there we go. With Capricorn, and we should have the Earth symbol somewhere. I just don't see it at the minute. But anyway, Capricorn. Oh, there we go. That's Saturn right there. Very, very tiny. And it's on there. There we go. With the Tower, we have Mars and fire. With the Star, we have Aquarius and air. With the Moon, we have water and Pisces. With the Sun, we have the Sun and fire. With Judgment, we have Pluto, and there we have fire. Hold on. Yeah. Actually, it's not fire. The color's right, but anyway, it's just, we have Pluto anyway. And then with the World card, there's a lot going on. Here we have Saturn at the bottom. And no particular association to the signs. But anyway, that is just for the purpose of showing you, the tarot and astrology and how they're linked, and also how astrology may be linked in a particular tarot card where you see symbols or what to look for. Okay, and I'm going to go through each of the cards, do a separate video for each of the cards in the deck, and then I'll pick up more on what is there, what isn't there, what to pick up on, what to focus on, what gives you clues, and so on and so forth. But I hope this video is useful. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of things to learn, but if you just write it all down and just make like a clear association between the cards, it'll be a lot easier to remember. You don't have to include astrology into your tarot readings. You don't have to, but it is linked. Tarot is so complex. It is linked to numerology. It is linked to astrology. It is linked to so many different aspects and so many different things that it all adds to how you read the tarot. So it's good to know a little bit of astrology and a little bit of numerology and a little bit of what colors represent even, and then it will just all add to your reading, and it will develop you as a reader. So it is something to look at. It is something to just pick up on, even if you just have the basic information from all the other fields that the tarot is linked to. It would all come back and make your readings better and make you better, develop you as a reader as well. So I hope this video is of use. Comment down below if you have any questions. I'm gonna look up why they associated the Hierophant with Virgo and Chiron as opposed to Taurus and Venus. So I'm gonna look that up. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, comment down below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And stay tuned for more videos, okay, because they're coming up. So thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support. Play around with your cards, okay? Let them tell you their story and how to read them. And I'll do a separate video for how to connect with the deck as well. Practice, 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 and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.